Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 13 of the Constant DisOgreement podcast, where we have DisOgreement, and they are constant. Today, this week, I am joined by Vitor de Sousa Silva, Justin Long, and Michael Nigerian. Nigerian will be running for a cross-country conference championship in the near future. We wish best of luck to him, and I just found out that Vitor has a dog. So, a lot of fun stuff happening in the constant DisOgreement world right now. But the reason why we are here tonight, as you all have heard, if you're an Orioles fan, or if you're not, you're just in my grad program and you want more dirt on me. The reason why we are here is because of the Orioles announcing their decision to hire Craig Albernaz as their new manager. The decision broke about, 9:45, 10 o'clock last night. Yeah. So, and I think the initial reaction, like my initial gut reaction, was who, and I think that was probably everyone, pretty much, unless you're like a diehard in the managerial searching world. But as we talked about in previous episodes, there were a lot of names out there, a lot of names that we thought we were considering, like Ryan Flaherty, for example, such and such. Tony Mansolino maybe coming back, but also, maybe out of box candidate that we may have thought about hiring, like, say, Albert Pujols, who I believe did interview for the job with the Orioles, if I'm not mistaken. And then also with, like, Bob Melvin needing a new team, Bruce Bochy needing a new team. There's also some consideration there, but the Orioles sort of went a path, sort of the more traditional path of a young, upcoming manager. No major league manager, but he does have minor league experience. If I remember correctly, he won 2 championships in the minors in back-to-back years, sort of in the lower minor. I think they were both single A, different levels of single A. But he spent time with the Giants organization, and most recently came from the Cleveland Guardians organization, where he was the associate manager under Stephen Vogt. Yeah, y'all, like, we were talking before the recording, I think everyone wants me to justify my position on how we feel about the decision. But I think before that, I think if we just want to go around and just a gut reaction, we can talk much more in depth later. But right now, gut reaction, like when you first heard the news at 9:45 last night, what was your reaction? I'll start with Vitor on this one.
Well, firstly, I see the news after recording our podcast in Brazil, the Rebatida podcast. We talk about the games 3, 4, and 5 LA, and I saw the news from Cam first because emergency pod, and the Orioles hire Craig Albernard. So, secondly, I have the same reaction of Cam because he's a no, I guess, but I read an Andy Kostikas article in the Baltimore Banner, and Albernard was one of the names in his list for a candidate for the Orioles job. He seated Kai Correa too, and Kai Correa is another bench coach, and he goes to the Mets he goes to the Mets to see their bench coach for Luis Mendoza coaching staff. And they talk about Bob Melvin, Albert Pujols. Pujols interviewed by the Orioles, but like Rock said, or I don't know if he, for another insider, because Pujols' staff, I think, leaked the interview because they want more leverage to negotiation with the Angels, and the Angels signed with Kurt Suzuki for their job. Scott Servais is another name for the Orioles job. But, Servais, it's more it's known for from collapses with the Seattle Mariners. And I don't think Servais, because of their collapses backgrounds, will be a good choice for the Orioles. They will go with Albernaz. That's okay. He had some experience with Rays organization, San Francisco organization, Cleveland organization, franchises who play for October or fight for a postseason. I think it's better if they, I don't know, contact names like Clint Hurrow or Bob Melvin, who manage a lot of teams and didn't win a championship in Oakland, San Francisco, San Diego. Anyway, I think Albernaz it's good. My reaction is okay. If they bet on Alvarez, let's see what happens. And I think, and I don't know if you see the Rosenthal tweet about the Stephen Vogt statement, and we I don't know earned another Orioles fan because Vogt was pretty happy about the Albernas hired by the Orioles. So I'm in the mode. Let's see what happens.
Okay, Justin.
Yeah, I think my gut reaction was also like I had no clue who this guy was, but I guess I never viewed that as like a bad thing necessarily because I thought there was a decent chance that we were going to get someone that was unknown. And I think, I mean, I know we'll go into it more in depth, but after seeing some like things about this guy, I completely fine with it. I'm honestly happy with it. I think, he's a younger manager, not like super young. I think he's like 42, 43 or something.
He actually turned 43 on Thursday.
Turns 43 on Thursday. I like that he's coming from the Guardians because I really like, I mean, what Stephen Vogt's done there is pretty crazy. And apparently he's his right hand man. And I think that, you know, he has some experience with younger rosters, and I like how the Guardians play. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I honestly I didn't know a lot of the candidates, and like there were some like Flaherty, like obviously Bochy, even though I don't know if Bochy's even looking for a job. I mean, he retired a few years ago, so I don't even know if that was an option. I wasn't super high on Bob Melvin. Same thing with Scott Service. Like obviously there's an appeal to a guy who does have experience in the majors, but if they feel like they found their guy and did a thorough search, then I'm cool with Alvarez, honestly.
Round it out, Mike.
Yeah, Albernaz was not somebody that I had considered as even a possibility for this job. Like I had heard of him, but I didn't really put much stock into the idea of him going anywhere to manage. I mean, he had been working with Stephen Vogt for the last few years, and it had worked. It's worked pretty well for Cleveland in terms of getting to the postseason and having some degree of success. So I had figured that that just wasn't going to happen. I thought they were just going to kind of run it back there, but it seems like everything I had heard was just it was only going to be a matter of time until he got a job in baseball, and he was pretty well regarded, well respected within the game. So it seems like I mean I was fully on the side of get somebody more experienced to lead this, and you can go back and look at what I said in the last episode, saying pretty much the exact same thing. But I've heard nothing but good things about this guy so far. Prior to Somerset, Massachusetts, so seems like a good hire, just based on everything I've heard about him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I think you all bring up good point. And yeah, it sounds like the reaction with the team. I don't think any of us knew who this guy was before we hired him. But I think that one thing I think it said it's just sort of about how he's sort of an unknown, like hadn't been a major league manager. But I also think something we've talked about with the Orioles in the past is how the alliance regime, whatever you want to call it, they are very good at like operating almost in secrecy or operating below the headline. Like I was sort of expecting, even if it's someone I didn't know much about, I was expecting it would be someone I would have at least heard the name of, like the Orioles are interviewing X, and then we hired him. But clearly, like unless I missed the headline, like we hired him and no one really picked up on it, or not hired, but interviewed him and no one really picked up on it. Like I know the Nationals were interviewing Brandon Hyde, and that was sort of a discussion that I saw in MLB trade rumors, and I guess they still haven't hired a manager, so I guess that's still a possibility. But, the Nationals interviewing Brandon Hyde, or even like, the Orioles interviewing Albert Pujols, it just kind of feels like you at least know who you're interviewing before you make a hire. And in this case, it's like, we did the interview and we made the hire without anyone knowing that he was interviewing, or at least anyone breaking that news. So I think that's one thing that sort of goes on with like the level of secrecy and the level of below the cuff that Alliance worked with, and we've seen in a lot of things that the Orioles do. And I think there are definitely some good things with that. I think it's good that I think if you think about some of the more incompetent organizations, I don't know, I just feel like there's stuff that sort of happens within those organizations that get broken, news get broken, and almost like with the Angels with Albert Pujols, like someone reported that the Angels were close to hiring Albert Pujols, and then some people thought that they were hiring Albert Pujols, and then he was out of it. And I would consider the Angels a pretty incompetent organization. So I think the fact that nothing like that happened, I think that speaks well for the process that the Orioles went through, that Elias went through, that the team went through. I think speaks well that the people trust the process. And I think like in organizations where things like that happen, you have sort of levels of leadership, or like you're sort of giving information maybe to people who shouldn't have certain information. So I think the Orioles operate very well in that regard. So that's one of my key takeaways from this whole process. So I'll give the Orioles credit for that. As for the decision itself, I think last night, I think a lot of what I talked about in our group chat, that in my opinion got misconstrued, was sort of, I didn't think this was like this like grand slam home run hire that going to immediately turn the Orioles, like make them like 10-win better. I don't think there's really any managerial decision you can make that would do that. I think managerial decisions in general, especially in this era, managers just have an impact, I think, less and less on actual like winning and losing. I think the games themselves are very like, there's a lot of like analytics at play, and I think you have large analytic team department and just a lot of numbers, a lot of voices coming at you. So I think it's very different than like say the '80s or whatever, where you have one man making the decision, and every decision that's made was made by that one person. I think that's very different now, and I think the job of Albernat now is more to be just a steady presence. And I think the Orioles are very clear in what they want. They want someone who is, a steady leader, a steady presence. I think they want to go with a new school approach. I think a guy like Bob Melvin, Rick Bochy, guys like that would have sort of threatened um, the new school way of thinking that the Orioles are going on. So I think in that sense, Albernat's is definitely a good hire. As I said, 43 years old, going to be 43 on Thursday. So he's definitely young. He came up in baseball sort of when analytics were becoming much more mainstream. Like he was a player in the mid 2000s, early 2010. Never made the major, but he was a minor league player for a long time, a catcher. So he had that background. All things considered, it's hard to know what's going to happen with the move. I think if it turns out to be one of those things where it's like the Orioles just don't gain traction the next 2 years, and it just kind of continues to feel like there's a lot of like I feel like with the Orioles, you kind of question the lineup decision Brandon Hyde was making a lot of the times, and like if that continued to happen, like their lineup that seemed questionable and stuff like that. Like I feel like that could happen, and the Orioles just kind of don't do much over the next 2 years. Hopefully, that's not what happened, but like I think that's a possibility, and I also think, as I said last night, I think it's a possibility that the Orioles just turn a corner next year, regardless of who the manager is, and Albernat is sort of the leader of that. Maybe a new voice, an entirely new voice helps that, and sort of lead the Orioles to a championship or to a playoff run next year. I think that could definitely happen too. So ultimately, my reaction right now is wait and see, but I like it, and I think there's more that I want to talk about too, but I'll talk about that later because I feel like I've been doing a lot of talking. But I feel like Justin's another guy who had some very strong opinions last night too. So I just kind of want to hear what your sort of larger takeaways are.
Well, I want to ask you, Cam, who, because you said you don't think it's a home run hire, which I think, like, that's not unfair, but who would have been a home run hire in your eyes?
I mean, I think the term home run hire may not be the best term. I think it's not, maybe more like it's not eye popping, or it's not like a big like rallying cry for the fans. It's more of what I was thinking when I said that. Because like if the Orioles hired Bruce Bochy, for example, then like you would have just had that huge social media marketing push by the Orioles. We're bringing in a World Series, four-time World Series champion, a guy who's done everything, like a guy like a new voice to the clubhouse, stuff like that. Like I think if you go with a guy like Bruce Bochy, I think while not a home run hire per se, and I think there would have been a lot of issues with that hiring, it's much more of like a big deal. Like the Orioles social media marketing team, and all of that will just like there'd be a huge push. I think you'd see immediately probably more like season tickets being sold, stuff like that. I don't think Albernat does that. Albernat, that's more the point I was trying to make. But I do think also, like what I said last night, if I don't think it's an option or was ever an option, it wasn't. But like, say the Orioles could have gotten an AJ Hinch type guy. I think that would have been a home run hire. But obviously, given our resources and given that he has a pretty cushy job right now where he's made the playoffs the last 2 years, I don't think that was an option. But if that were to happen, that would definitely be a home run hire. So that's sort of what I was thinking when I said that.
I think that's fair. Because I guess my reaction when because you put in the group chat that you didn't think it was a home run hire, and I'm not saying that you're wrong necessarily, right? My thought was more just like, how are any of us gonna sit here and say that it is or isn't a great hire when like this isn't like free agency or like the trade market where like we know who these players are, we know how they would fit our team, they know what kind of needs we have as a team and stuff, right? Like we don't know anything about Albernaz. And so I guess like we see the thoughts about him around the league that he's been one of the top managerial candidates for a couple years now. Apparently, like he turned down a different managerial role. I think I saw that. So I can't remember what team it was. If you guys remember.
I think
It was from last year. He turned down the Chicago White Sox and Miami Marlins jobs.
Okay, yeah. And like he's been very well regarded among his peers, and obviously Stephen Vogt thinks very highly of him. He's been, like I think Cam mentioned, he's been with teams that are familiar with like the analytics, like the Rays and the Guardians and stuff like that. So I guess my point is just kind of like, who's to say this isn't a home run hire if this guy was viewed as one of the top candidates? You're right, it doesn't have the same impact, I guess, like on social media that like Bruce Bochy would have, just because of Bruce Bochy's track record. But like with Bochy, we'd probably be looking for a new manager in 2 years if I had to guess. Like this is not a guy that would be here long term at all. I don't know. I guess that was kind of more just my point, that I think since none of us really are like super or have a ton of knowledge on who these candidates are, like Albert Pujols, we know about his playing career, but we know nothing about his managerial strategies, or how he would be as a manager, or how he would, he seems like he would be good with the players, but we don't know for sure, right? And so I guess it's just hard for me to say that it isn't a home run hire when this guy is viewed as a really respectable candidate by a lot of different teams and just around the league in general.
any other thought?
Yeah, I I think about with Justin talked moments ago. If Pujols was their Orioles choice, I think it will be a home run higher because for some reasons. A future Hall of Famer managed the Orioles. Man, Orioles PR will be, I don't know, night fireworks until spring training, I guess, because Pujols it's a great name in the history of baseball. In terms of impact, Pujols, okay, but his managerial experience it's from the Winter Ball in Dominican Summer League, I guess. He managed it last year and he was a champion from his team. With Junior Caminero, it's a go-ahead home run in the decisive game in Dominican Republic. In terms of impact, Burros will be a great hire for sure. But if we think about the other names was hired somewhere. If the Orioles hired Tony Vitello, for example, that would be a home run hire, in your opinion, because he's a winner in college ranks, but he doesn't have an experience in Major League. It's a totally a different environment to teach some students to proven players. It's another perspective to talk about a home run hire or not. Even Stephen Vogt, he's a bullpen coach from the Mariners organization, and Cleveland hired him to be their next manager. And Cleveland won two AL Central AL Central last year, and in 2024 and 2025. Vault in the first year of manager experience and in Cleveland play in the LCS. I think it's more like let's wait and see because baseball manager First and foremost, he will need to be a leader of men. And Albernaz at least learned with one of the best coaches in the nowadays in Stephen Vogt. So let's see what happens, because the baseball manager needs to motivation he sorry I forgot the words how to try and express, but he needs to be with the guys with 6+ months and the ups and downs and something like that. And I think it's difficult to talk about a home run hire in manager proposals, I guess.
Mike, anything you want to add, or
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there was really a true home run hire out there on the manager market for really anybody that the Orioles could have gone after. So I don't know if it's necessarily fair to say he is or he isn't a home run hire. But I think it's going to be a very solid hire. Like I've previously said, he's been very highly regarded in the baseball world for the last couple of years now. Uh, Led Cleveland to degrees of success over the last few years. In 2018, managing the Bowling Green Hot Rods in the Rays system, won the Midwest League title uh, after a 90-49 regular season, uh, with Orioles legend Vidal Brujan being one of the players on that team. But I think, like I said, it's not really fair to say he is or he isn't a home run hire because, to Justin's point, we don't know. The manager free agency cycle is just not the same as like players. Like we just don't. Nobody's doing their research on like all the manager free agents and which ones could fit in best. But I think it's a good hire nonetheless. And there is something I do want to address directed at Cam here. I want to know why you said in the group chat that he was going to be a shill for Mike Elias. I want to know what was going on with that.
all right?
Yes, you can't say that you like the hire after yesterday saying that he's a shill and it's not a home run. Like, that doesn't seem like someone who just is happy with the move. That's why I felt that way yesterday. I just want to make that clear.
Rank my level of anger as an Oriole fan. When we went into opening day last year with Charlie Morton, Tomoyuki Nagano, and Tyler O'Neill as our main free agent pickup in a year that we need to win the World Series, my anger level was probably 8, 9. Trying to think what else. Like as far as like think some of the Brandon Hyde lineup last few years where Jorge Mateo would for some reason in the 5 hole and against a righty in a game that we need to win. Anger level pretty high. As far as this goes, I would say my initial reaction was a little bit of maybe frustration. I feel like shit for me it's like I think it's more just I want to be like excited. I want to go into 2026 having something to feel excited about. And if we went out and got like a boom or bust kind of managerial candidate, I'd be scared shitless probably. But ultimately, I would be excited. I'd be excited to see what our Pujol could do. I'd be excited to see what Bruce Bochy could do. I'd be excited to see even what Ryan Flaherty could do, just think what he would do with the organization. And this move is just more like, okay, cool. I mean, yeah, traditional path. Could be a good manager, could not be. We don't know. Like it doesn't make me go out and like, man, I really want to buy opening day tickets now and see Craig Abernathy run down the excuse me, my point exactly, run down the orange carpet. And it's like, and I also think it just kind of showed like sort of headspace wide for the organization. It's like if are we? Because I think we all agree that this is an offseason the Orioles need to be aggressive, and I think the managerial hiring of someone who's just like sure, sort of a sign that they might not be aggressive. I think it might be a sign for free agency that they might look. I know you disagree with it, Justin. I'll give you your chance to talk, but I'm just sort of saying where my headspace is at, where it's like I just feel like this is one of those years where we just need to go for it in free agency. And I feel like the starting point would have been like if we went for it with a managerial hire that isn't just another guy who'd, done the traditional path of like been a fine minor league manager, been a fine above average associate head coach, bench coach, bullpen coach. Like I feel like if we just went somewhere different, went somewhere more explosive, I feel like it would have shown like maybe we are going to be more aggressive when free agency starts in a few weeks. So that's more
I
my
don't think
mindset.
that's fair to him.
I'll never meet the guy. I don't care about being fair to him.
Yeah, but
But
I don't
he
know. I don't
was
know how
one
you
of the
can
top
say that.
candidates.
Like he was gonna
Look,
get a job somewhere. He'd been offered jobs with the Marlins and the
okay,
White Sox. Like, what do you
no,
And
mean?
he's interviewed for the Nats job too. Like this is a
you're
guy who's
right.
been pursued by like multiple teams.
I want to be clear here. I didn't know that information last night. Are we not allowed to grow and develop as humans? Are we not?
But you just said it just now that you're like, well, now they're not going to sign free agents because they signed Craig Albernaz as their manager. When I think that this is like I think this very well could be a seriously like good hire, like one of the top candidates, because this could be a guy that is a long term solution for us too. Bob Melvin is ancient. Bruce Bochy is ancient. Like these dudes, I would not feel like Bruce Bochy. Sure, that would be cool, just because he has so much
He can't even.
experience.
Bruce
He
Bruce
can't walk
Bochy
out
can't
to the
even walk
mound,
to the
dude.
pitcher's mound to make a
He
pitching
can't
change
walk out to
anymore.
the
Like
pitcher's mound. He can't.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. He can't walk out to the pitching mound because the 4 World Series rings on his fingers are weighing him down.
Come on.
Sorry.
Come on. Like I get it, but we would be looking for a new manager in 2 more years. Like I just think that there's nothing to say that this isn't everything that you were hoping it would be.
Part of my philosophy in life in general is that
Here we go.
we might not be alive in 3 years.
Okay, all right, you're getting off the rails here.
I'm not. I mean, I won't go into my philosophical thing, but I do think when it comes to stuff like that, I do think we are in a win now mode, and I think yeah, I think Albernaz could be great, but if Bruce Bochy comes in immediately, provides a spark, and gone in 2 years, I take that too. Now, granted, I'm a fan of UNC football, and I said the same thing about Bill Belichick, and here's where we are with that. So I think you guys could definitely be right. I think you guys are wanting to be mad at me for a reason to be mad at me, which is fair. A lot of people are mad at
I'm
me
not
right now.
mad. I'm not mad. I don't understand the reasoning. That's my thing. I don't.
I've explained my reasoning.
But it's not. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't see how it's how this is not like other than him just like this is especially because this was a major candidate in the baseball world. This was a like one of the guys who, at least to my knowledge, like a lot of teams wanted, and he's been viewed like that as a serious managerial candidate to get like a real role. And how many guys who aren't like returning managers get a chance to pick where they want to go? Like so many candidates, they just will go with the first managerial chance they get, right? Like this guy got to whittle down his choices. He was so confident that he was going to get a job this year that he turned down 2 jobs last year. Like that's got to say something. Like I feel like that has, and like he was interviewed. I saw he was interviewed along with Brandon Hyde for the Nats job this year. I'm not sure if he was a candidate for any of the other roles as well. Like I know the Padres are still looking. I'm not. I know Pujols is a candidate there. I don't know if he was also interviewing with them, but like I think he very well could be. This doesn't. I don't think any Orioles fan has the right to be like, here we go again. Like we're just gonna do nothing. This is the boring Orioles who aren't gonna be aggressive. Blah, blah, blah. Like everything I've been seeing is that this guy was a great candidate, and I don't think that it means any of those things. I don't think it means that we're just gonna continue to live under this Mike Elias shell where we're not aggressive and we never go for it or anything like that. I don't think that represents or this represents that.
I hear you. Your feelings are heard. Vitor?
Man, I don't have an opinion right now about this topic. You talk about Bruce Bochy, and I reminded Tony La Russa in his last years of White Sox managing, and he goes to the mound like a turtle, so slow, and even the brawl. You see, I don't know, man.
and that
I
was
don't
and
think
that was the least of his problems.
for sure, man, and for sure, Mike. And I don't think it's the old school was the philosophy about Mike Elias to bring a new manager. I agree to bring a fresh voice and from outside the organization to clean some problems, some issues to the Orioles to be a better team and contend next season until CBA strikes. And I believe MLB not in a lockout after 2026 season. I hope so. But I think a fresh voice is it's necessary. Then I don't know, man. To prefer a guy from new school than the old school, I guess, because Bochy is retired. La Russa had heart problems. Ron Washington didn't manage this year because he was some healthy issues. I don't know, man. Dusty Baker, if we talk about legendary names, he won with the Astros in 2021, 2021, 22, 21. What's the Braves? Sorry, I don't know, man. If they pursue the old school managers, it will be funny to see they walking them out and separate some brawls or something like that. But in the manager perspectives, I think the new school was better than old school. I think like Elias did in his approach, I guess.
Also, I agree with you. I think that I feel like the new school approach might get crapped on a little bit, right? Because people don't love the following of analytics all the time and stuff. But like I look at like Terry Francona, right? And I know they made the playoffs, but like Terry Francona got seriously outmanaged in the series against the Dodgers that they lost. Like he was playing those games like it was the 150th game of the year. Like I don't think Nick Lodolo, who was one of their best pitchers all year, like even made it into a game in a like high leverage spot or made a start. Like, and so I think like
Yeah, he threw like
uh,
10 pitches in the fourth inning.
yeah, and so I think like so I don't. I mean, I guess maybe that's getting off track a little bit, but just that sometimes the big name guys don't always make the biggest difference. Like I don't think like Stephen Vogt was not a huge big name guy. Like he obviously had a long playing career, but he wasn't a big name candidate when he got the Guardians job, and then he's fantastic there. I mean, what he's working with is really insane. We were talking about that before, but yeah. So I guess the name value I think can be a little overrated, and I think that some of these older, experienced managers, like I don't think it's a guarantee that they're gonna come through and be substantially better than some of the analytically driven managers.
Yeah, Donald Wilson have some problems too with the Seattle Mariners in his last playoffs because they sacked George Kirby too early, I guess, because he threw 60 pitches, I think, in Game 5 from LGS, and he put Gabe Spire against Kerry Carpenter, and Tigers tied the game, and Mariners won in the 15th inning. And Game 7, he repeated the same mistake. Pulled George Kirby too early to put Brian Wu, and Brian Wu in the seventh inning. In the seventh, why don't put Andres Munoz to against George Springer? Why put the Oriole legend Eduardo Basardo to face George Springer? That's not the smartest idea in Game 7 with the season on the line. Analytical have had his good things and his bad things. Blake Snell in 2020 with Kevin Cash, Game 6, says a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, I am completely, completely, completely on board with new school managerial thinking. I'd much rather have a new school managerial thinker than a Kevin Cash type guy. I think my problem, or my, I don't even know if it's a problem, but my concerns with Albert Ad don't stem from being a new school type manager. That's not, like, I think that's the way it should be. I think that's where you're going to have the most success, as opposed to Mike Schilt, for example, who would very much had old school managerial approach, and I think that was very much to the detriment of the Padres and previously to the Cardinals. So I think that way of thinking, I completely believe in the better way of thinking. But sort of as Vitor said with Dan Wilson, it's like I think Dan Wilson, we can agree, is a very good manager. He led the Mariners to what, a 90-some win season, led them to Game 7 of the championship series, and that's the Mariners. I know they have a talented roster and all that, but still, I mean, the Mariners. But I do think the concerns you bring up about, like, like the decision with Eduardo Bernardo, you sort of, who's to say that those issues, like if we get to the point where we're in a Game 7 type situation and having a first year manager next year who doesn't have, the type of managerial experience could come back to bite us the way it might have with Dan Wilson and the Mariners. I think that's another concern with just hiring a rookie manager in general. So that's part of my reasoning. I think Albert Nats will be fine. I do not think he's going to be a bad manager. I think it's very, like, I think there's a very, very, very low chance that he comes in and, the Orioles just implode because of him. I don't think that's going to happen. And I think it could happen if you did go with Bruce Bochy, and I do think it could happen even if you went with Albert Pujols, or if you stayed in the organization, went with Robinson Trino, someone like that. Um, I think Albert Nats is fine, and I trust that Elias did his due diligence and all that. So for all those things, I'm not. I'm where I'm at. Do not think me and Justin disagree as much as Justin thinks me and Justin disagree. I think me and Justin are kind of on the same page. I just think we think of it in a different way. That's sort of where I think it is. Any rebuttal to my rebuttal of your rebuttal that I agree, Justin?
No, I was just gonna like I think I do agree with you for the most part. I think like Mike mentioned, it was just a couple of those key words yesterday that made it seem like maybe you weren't as high on this choice as it seems now, you know? And so I think I was just I do think we think of it similarly though. That it's obviously going to take some time to really see how this ends up working out, and then obviously like I don't think he's going to be some detrimental hire that like everyone 2 months from now, or not 2 months from now, 6 months from now is like get this guy out of the building. But yeah,
But, this guy's about the same age as the person currently pitching for the Toronto Blue Jays in the World Series. That's kind of insane to me. Like, why is Max Scherzer pitching a World Series game in 2025? A complete aside, but yeah, no, I mean, yeah. So I think we've come to sort of a marginal agreement, we could say, which I think very good that we worked that out. And I think one other thing I sort of mentioned was managerial philosophy. I mean, I wonder if any of you three have sort of thoughts on this. If you believe that going with someone who is a former bullpen coach in San Francisco, someone who was a bench coach with a team who is much, much more pitcher heavy in Cleveland, do we think that means a shift in philosophy? Because I think with like Brandon Hyde and the previous year, it's been very much like the teams have been live with the bat, died by the bat, and the starting rotation have been, not up to snuff. The bullpen has had their struggles. Do you think like the hiring could signal a shift in philosophy? And I'll let anyone answer that.
it wouldn't bother me if it did. Like if it does shift to that, I would be happy with it because I really think if this Orioles offense can stay healthy, they're gonna produce runs. I think what happened this year was not indicative of like our long term offense. I think this was just a disastrous year all around. But like I think I fully expect this to be a at least top half of the league offense, and so I hope you're right, Cam, that this does signal that we're really leaning into maybe the pitching, and maybe that would mean more serious investments by Elias in the offseason, which I think we all believe is necessary. So yeah, and I mean even like with Cleveland too. Like Cleveland was very pitching heavy and very bullpen heavy, and obviously San Francisco's been like that, and he was with Tampa too, which is definitely known for being a pitching lab. So was he a coach with Tampa, or was he just a player there?
He was
He was.
manager too in Ray's system.
Okay.
He won manager of the year in 2018 in the Midwest League with the Hot Rod.
Midwest.
So not with the major league team though. Just only okay, yeah. Well, either way, being in the race system, like that's obviously been known to be a pitching lab for a while. So I hope that there's a big emphasis with them coming in on pitching.
Yeah,
Mike or
think I think this offseason, anybody who listens to this can go back and listen to the episode we recorded last week about, where we all showed up with free agent ideas. There's a reason why almost all of them were pitching related. And that's because that's really what the team sorely needs. Like Justin said, if the offense is healthy, the offense is going to have no trouble scoring runs against most teams in the league. It's the pitching that really has been a problem, partly because of injuries, but partly because of the Orioles' own doing, like signing Charlie Morton and Tomoyuki Sagano to replace Corbin Burns. Like that went as well as we thought it would. Like that was destined to fail from the start. Like I think if Albernez coming from two programs, the Rays and the Guardians, that were so heavily invested in pitching and developing pitching. I think that's really something. I think that's going to play a little bit into what the offseason plan is. I mean, Cam wants to talk about he sees the hiring as maybe a reason that the Orioles, as a premonition that the Orioles are going to cheap out. Maybe it could be a premonition that they're going to invest in the pitching side, not even just by signing pitchers, but by really beefing up their overall pitching program to not just improve pitchers they bring in from the outside, but also just like really work on the pitchers they already have and try to get those guys better too. I mean, that's what some of the best pitching teams in baseball have done recently. And I think if that leads to that, that's beautiful.
Completely agree. By the way, I think the Orioles have the talent offensively that I feel like we have enough talent to, like, you have Gunnar Henderson around, you have Jordan Westberg around. There aren't a ton of other names that actually, like, really excite me. Maybe Jackson Holiday, Colton Counter, guys like that. Like, I think those guys are young enough and they have the capability. Samuel Battaglio, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, he had, like, I think other than a few big moments, Battaglio wasn't spectacular, which I'm not saying at all that means anything for the future, but he wasn't spectacular the past year, so, I don't know if I'm yet at the point where I'm like, I think he's going to be a great hitter, being a great hitter. Like, I think there needs to be some development still working with the hitting staff, with a good hitting staff and all that. But yeah, I think, like, there's enough offensive talent there, and I think if we can, I think as I said last night, what the Guardians have done so well the last few years is, they've gotten guys like Cade Smith for nothing, guys you've never heard of, and they're like some of the best relievers in baseball. And it's not just Cade Smith; I know there are other guys. I'm blanking on names right now, but if the Orioles could do that, like, that was something that the Orioles were so good at in the Dan Duquette era. That's like one of the few things that I think the Orioles did very, very well in the Dan Duquette era. They could get guys, off of waiver and just turn them into studs for a few months. Richard Blyer comes to mind for that. Paul Fry even kind of sort of fit that mold. Plenty of other that came around and didn't cost us a whole lot of money, but the Orioles were able to find something in them and really make them pitch well. And I hope the Orioles can do that, especially on the bullpen end. I think, Albernaz had the experience to say that he probably can do it with the Giants, with the Guardians. So if the Orioles can turn into a plate that's similar to those places that, you don't have to go out and get Corbin Burns to have a great starting pitcher, or you don't have to wait on Felix Bautista to have a great relief pitcher, closer. I think that would be great. And I hope that Albernaz is able to do that. And I think if the Orioles can turn into a plate that pitching is not, that we're not just kind of a albatross pitching wide with Gregory Soto, Anthony Dominguez, and Lionel Perez pitching 60 games a year. I think it would be great to sort of have that working for the O's again. Skipped over Vitor, so any other thoughts on philosophy shift, anything like that from you, Vitor?
Yeah, I think the pitching side will be better with Albernars because, like we said, he came from Rays, Giants, and Guardians organizations, and they prioritized pitching above hitting. And we have some exercise above the Orioles offense and the Guardians offense. I think we will choose the Orioles offense because besides Jose Ramirez, the Guardians office didn't have another name who I don't know. Uh, I forgot the words again, sorry. But I think we will understand because besides Jose Ramirez, the ours office is better. Adley or Bornaylor. Who you choose to start at catcher? Obviously, I think Adley is better than Bornaylor, right? Yorkensky Noel or Sam Basayo or Kobe Mayo? Who you choose? Jackson Holiday or Brian Hockey? Who you choose? Angel Martinez or Cotton Causer? The Orioles will be fine with the offense. They will need some lucky, I guess, or better production overall because 2025 it's a down year for sure. If the Orioles have some, I don't know, blueprints or another examples to have a turnaround, the Toronto Blue Jays had some nice histories because George Springer was in a down year, have a great season in 2025. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the same thing. Bobby Shea in contract year played his best ball in years. So if the office have a turnaround and they brought a manager with a better pitching experience, the Orioles will be fine because some relievers need a better seasons. I read about Fionner Cano and I think he had some resemblances of Sionel Perez. One good season, the rest was down years after his All-Star campaign. So maybe the Orioles find some magic with to recover him. And even before Craig Albernares will be hired by the Orioles, they have some good arms like Trevor Rogers in a surprising year. Kyle Brash back for 2025. Tyler Wells could be a swingman. So the Orioles have some good names. And we all agree that Orioles will pursue some arms from outside via free agency or trades or something like that to beat up to reinforcements in pitching crops. So I think we'll be fine, guys. With Albernars, we'll be fine.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's completely fair. And I like that. I like the optimism. And I think part of it is we're coming off a really rough season, and I think we know how much this upcoming season means. And it's like, I think like having a new manager in town and someone that is highly sought after, I think for us that, know sort of the inner workings of baseball and all of that, I think there is definitely things to look forward to with the Orioles this upcoming season, and I think there's some stuff that still questions to be answered. Obviously, a lot of questions won't be answered until free agency. We still have until at the very least, November 1st is when Game 7 of the World Series will be. And then I don't know how long it takes until free agency starts, but usually fairly quick.
I think it's 5 days after the World Series ends.
Maybe. So free agency going to start a couple week and a half from when we're recording about ish.
At the latest, it would be November 6th or 7th.
So, but yeah, so I mean, I think when we're
Just,
going,
just, just kick him out. Just have him.
I would considering it. I would
All right.
be very strongly
Sounds good.
considering it. But no, I mean, I think, and obviously free agency, even when it starts, you don't make signings instantly. It's not the NBA where you're tampering with players for months before free agency starts. Or if you are, they're not making instant decisions, and a lot of that because of the salary cap and all that. Not lack of salary cap for Major League Baseball. But regardless, I think we've got an hour out of talking about Craig Albernaz. I think that's about an hour worth of, that I don't want to turn into a 2 hour, 10-minute episode like last time. I think we've gotten our thoughts in, and I think we all are sort of in relative agreement that they're still definitely unknown with the decision, but ultimately we could have done worse. We definitely could have done worse. I think all four of us agree on that, and I definitely agree on that. So, yeah, ultimately, I'm happier with the decision right now than I was 24 hours ago, or I guess 23 hours ago when the news broke. I'm happier with it now than I was then. After just learning more information, I think a big thing about growing as human beings is that you can change your opinion when you're confronted with new information.
I thought you hated Craig Albernaz. I'm confused.
Yeah, he was
One
a
more
show.
thing, have y'all?
I'm just confused. I'm just confused by this latest development. I thought you hated this guy and thought
Have
he
we?
was like
Have we not? Did I not just say that a part of growing a human being did changing opinions when confronted with new information? Like
No,
I
I'm
just
just saying. I thought you hated him a lot, and yeah, I just thought he was a terrible person and stuff. But
how would I
Hey,
possibly
Justin,
know he was a
Justin,
terrible person?
your
Justin, if
words,
you
not
think about
mine,
it,
man. Your
I
words,
know.
not mine.
Justin, if you think about it, this has happened multiple times over the last 8 days. I would say
What? Wait, what had happened multiple times over the last 8 days? They're going to stay on
changing your
mute.
opinions with new information.
Wait, now I'm kind of lost too.
Yeah.
I was getting
I
in a
still
dig
am
at
very
Kim's room.
That is a good point. That you thought that your room was an acceptable.
that acceptable. I understood that, it was not a great place to live, and that if my parents saw it, they would be very ashamed. Regardless, did y'all
So
see that video?
you're fine living in filth, and you hate Craig Alvernaz, is what I'm hearing. Those are my two takeaways from this.
Did y'all see that
I would
video
agree
that's
with
been,
that.
been circulating on Twitter of Albernaz taunting the sunflower seeds on Stephen Vogt?
I
That was
did.
like it went viral like earlier this season. I think it was like when they were on like a 7-game losing streak or something like
Vote
that.
looked like he wanted to kill him.
Well, probably glad that he didn't, because Vogt would be in jail right now and Albernaz would not be our manager.
Which you would be happy about.
I mean, if Craig Albernaz died in the middle of the dugout during a Guardians losing streak, I don't think my instant reaction would be, shit, he was an Orioles managerial candidate. So yeah, so good talking with the fellas. Do we want to do random Oriole of the week? Because I know Vitor is sitting on someone.
Yeah, guys. Do you remember at Vidal Nuno? And I remember someone from the darkest ages because I talked about the before recording from the darkest years because this guy was a one hit wonder and isn't a musician because he didn't have a good thing about the Orioles. I talk about Luis Sardinhas. Did you remember him?
Lee too?
Nobody remember Luis Sardinhas. The guy in the second game in the Orioles hit a home run in the top of the ninth in Detroit against the
Like,
Tigers.
I very, very, very vaguely remember that name. Luis Sardinha. Oh
Luis
yeah.
Sardinhas, he played for the Orioles in the 2018 season, that disgraced season, won 115 losses, and he played exactly 8 games with the Orioles. He hit a home run in his second game, and 6 games later, or 10 days apart, he was released by the Orioles. He hits a home run in the top of the ninth against the Tigers. His homer tied the game, but the Orioles lost that game in the bottom of the ninth with Pedro Araujo. Remember him? I talked about Pedro Araujo in last programs, and he was released by the Orioles in 2018. If their player was released by the Orioles in 2018, it's because his career was great, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think so because he played 8 games in 2018. 8 games. All these games on April from April 17 to April 28. Exactly 10 games. 8 games in 10 days. He hits a home run in the second game and he released it with an average of 111. So yeah,
He
Luis
has a
Sardinhas.
career WAR of negative 1.3.
And one of his 5 homers
That
in the
was.
majors, the last one was for the Orioles.
I don't remember him, honestly.
So
That's a
Like
good
I
so
point.
it
I don't
seems
very
like
remember though.
vaguely
it seems like all four of us combined have a higher saying.
Man, I remember this guy because when he hits this home run, I was at work and I
what did it
see these moments in life. So I remember him because it's so remarkable. Man, he hits a home run at the top of the ninth. We go to the extras and beat the Tigers. But no, we lost as a walk-off in the same game. So Luis Sardinhas was my random order of this episode.
Yeah. No, I mean that like I very vaguely recognize the name. That's a great pool. I
Who
had
was it that we talked about in the last episode? Remember, Kim, you were like, oh, that would be a great one for Random Oriole of the Week.
shit.
Mike, do you remember? Who were we talking
Nope.
about?
Yeah, I don't. My memory shot.
I can't remember either.
But yeah, no, I think the guy I wanted to go with is just someone that I remembered existed at the beginning of this episode. Another guy who played only for the 2018 Orioles and very briefly with a negative WAR, and just someone that I remembered because he had the same last name as one of our probably, hopefully, former hitting coaches. And that's Corbin Joseph. Not much to say about Corbin Joseph other than that he was Caleb's brother. Played second base for the Orioles, actually. That's a shocker. Negative .2 WAR 2018 as a 29-year-old. He actually made his major league debut in 2013 and didn't appear in the majors again until 2018 with the Orioles. So a 5-year gap there. And then he played for, how many teams in 2019? I think he played for 3 different major league teams in 2019, Giants, and Pirates, and had a negative WAR for each of them. Career batting average with 170, had career on base percentage with 213, 61 slugging. Not quite Caleb Joseph offensively. Not saying Caleb Joseph was some world beater, but you better than that. Career 474 OPS, career negative .8 WAR, which extradited out to 162 games would be negative 2.9 WAR. One career home run that was hit with the Oakland A's in 2019. Corbin Joseph, random Oriole of the week for me. So Luis Jardinez and Corbin Joseph, I feel like those are 22 combined games for the 2018 Orioles. Those are 2 pretty good pulls. Any other?
Continue with the 2018 trend. This is not as good of a pull, but I just always remember not being excited anytime Jimmy Yacobonis was about to pitch. So I'm gonna say Jimmy Yacobonis.
I don't know if it's still the case, but I think the longest career home run of Aaron Judge was hit off of Jimmy Yacobonis. And he hit one
one in New York that went up past the bleachers.
Yeah, I mean it was 490 feet, something like that.
Yeah.
And not
ridiculous.
You don't have the what's the word, the acute that was in Colorado or something. I mean that. And that was when Aaron Judge was a rookie or second year player, so hit sort of when he was rising to superstardom, and that was very much the what turned into Aaron Judge being what Aaron Judge was. I think that 2018 season when Yacobonis. Yeah, I mean I don't think there was anyone on the 2018 team in the rotation that I looked forward to watching pitch, to be quite honest. I mean, Dylan Bundy was pretty bad that year. He went to Jimmy
Best acquisitions from pitching side was Andrew Cashner and Alex Cobb. Cobb was infamous because all his Orioles wins was on the road. He doesn't win a game at home.
God, Alex Cobb was terrible. And I remember being
insane.
It's kind of weird how I would more optimistic for the 2018 season. I thought the 2018 team was going to be a playoff team after we signed Alex Cobb.
Because that was supposed to be the last hurrah or whatever.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the last
and...
Manny Machado going to be a free agent at the end of the season. I think Gope was a free agent at the end of the season. Adam Jones was a free agent at the end of the season. So it was it very much was supposed to be a competitive team. Yeah, it fell apart very quickly, very badly, and Colby Rathman played game for the Orioles. So
kind of like this year if you think about it.
But
the last
we had 28 more wins this year than we did in 2018, and we kind of know that if we play our card right, we can be competitive next year. I think we all kind of agreed that there's really no way the 2019 was going to be a competitive year, just with all the free agents. I think Buckwood on an expiring contract that year too. I think we'll kind of this will probably be Buck last year. All that I very much remember that mindset of 2016 we made the playoff. 2017 we had a really good August because of Tim Beckham. Really. So but yeah, no, and then 2018 it was we started off 1-5. We got swept by the Astros in their World Series ring ceremony and all that. And we weren't competitive with them. And then I think we played the Yankees, won 1 of 3. So I think we started the season 2-8, and I think it fell apart from there. But yeah, Michael Givens was on that team, but yeah, I think Jimmy Yakabonen's a good pool. I can respect a good Jimmy Yakabonen pool. But yeah, the only thing I ever remember about him is the Aaron Judge home run. What about you, Mike?
Well, my random Oriole is someone who is on the 2018 and 2017 teams, and that's Craig Gentry. Craig Gentry had, with the Orioles in 145 games, had a positive WAR, had a 1.3 WAR, which is more than you could say for the other guys that we've talked about. Hit 3 home runs, 3 triples, drove in 22 runs, had a 265 average, 326 base, 362 slug, 89 OPS plus in what would basic over 2 seasons amounts to a full season of work, basically 145 games. You know, he had a solid run with Texas. That was his most successful. He was fine with the A's and with the Angels right before he got to Baltimore. He was terrible. Then also not a lot of games. He only played 14, but it was 14 bad games. Got to Baltimore and, I don't remember anything spectacular from Craig Gentry other than he was on the team.
Yeah, I am watching. Am I on mute? No, I'm not. All right, right now I'm watching the video that Vitor sent in the chat. Luis Gardenia did home run. Find a more random game tying home run in the ninth inning in baseball history. Like there were maybe 30 people in the crowd. It was Vitor said he was at work. I'm presuming this was a weekday day game in April in Detroit. And I'm trying to think. 2018, the Tigers weren't particularly relevant. Yeah, they were pretty bad in that era too.
Also in April in Detroit, it's cold.
Yeah, weekday there are like probably 50 people in the stands. That number is going to continue to grow by 20 every time I say it. So just get ready. But yeah, no, I mean,
in 5 minutes there'll be 70 people.
Yeah, no, I mean seriously. And then my favorite part, the very beginning of the clip, they showed Pedro Alarujo warming up in the bullpen. What a shit show 2018 was. When you see a Luis Gardenia game-tying homer in the ninth with Pedro Alarujo warming up, you start to realize why that team was so bad.
I just watched that. How did he hit that out? That pitch was like on his ankle practically. Like it was so far inside. I have no clue how he hit that out for a home run. And even the announcer goes, "No way." That's actually so funny.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean that. Yeah. That's like a pretty like it was 87 down and in. I guess he just turned on it.
It was a good pitch.
Yeah, I mean it would. Green, forgive me. Is that Shane?
Shane Green. It was Shane Green.
Yeah. The Tigers are. Yeah, this was when the Tigers were really bad, if I'm remembering correctly. Like this is like the not Willie Castro, but like Gordon Beckham era of like Detroit Tiger baseball, where like the entire roster like people you've never heard of, right? Because they were
like
was that the year they picked
Victor Martinez, like at the very end of his career. Like who else? No, not Prince Fielder. I was thinking of like those big free agent signings they made that just like did not work out, or like they had Victor Martinez, but like he was so bad at the end of it, like he was like unplayably bad at the end.
Justin Upton was signing for them at some point. I don't know if he was 2008.
They also had Austin Jackson, but I don't know if he was on that team or not.
Dude,
he was actually very good. I don't know if that was when he was bad or not.
I'm trying to think. 2018 was that the year they drafted Casey Mize, number 1 overall? Because they did Torkelson in 2021. We drafted Adley in 2019, number 1 overall, right? So I think
Torkelson was 2020.
2021
was Henry Davis for Pittsburgh.
You're right.
Yeah. Mize was 2018.
So that would have been the year after they were the worst team in baseball.
Nick Castellanos was the right fielder for the Tigers.
Nick Castellanos before he was famous for being Nick Castellanos. IYKYK.
Yeah.
Could he hit that home run in Kansas City with the Red in 2020?
Yes, we know.
What did the guy say? What was the quote again? Do you want to repeat it, Cam?
Why are you trying to get me canceled?
I don't know. I just
you're the one who brought it up.
Yeah.
No. Because that
Cam, I just can't remember what the quote was. I think you should repeat it.
Castellanos,
word for word, bar for bar.
I mean the I mean, I was very confused because like it went viral. I think I don't think it went viral immediately. Like I think it sort of took a little bit
No,
for it to like really. It took a little bit for me to like figure out what happened. Like I think like a month later or whatever.
was-
Like I looked at like
this
baseball
was
YouTube
this was
channel.
2020. Like people were dying for anything to talk about in 2020. This happened very quickly.
No, I mean I remember 2020, Mike. Believe me, it was what a time to be alive. The Orioles beat the Red Sox opening day in 2020 thanks to a Tommy Malone. No, they lost opening day, but they won the next.
It was pretty hard to lose.
2020 was the worst opening day in the history of the Orioles.
Okay, you know what?
I thought you were right for a second too, because didn't they go on to win the series though?
They did. They won the next two games. They lost the first game 12-2.
It was hard to lose to the 2020 Red Sox.
Okay.
I mean,
Look
we
at
were the
Orioles
Orioles.
roster. Get out of here with that. Go look at
Who was our opening day starter, Mike? Who were the Orioles opening day starter? The Red Sox should never be bad enough to lose to a team that had Tommy Malone as an opening day starter.
And you know what? The Red Sox were that bad. Because you know who our Game 2 starter was? It was Ryan Weber, who I guarantee none of you have ever heard of.
I kind of remember that, actually. I kind of remember him starting. In 2020, it was like...
just took the lead.
They did? All right, I might need...
Homer.
Damn, that's a big
Wow.
shot.
I'm going for the Blue Jays.
I'm going for the Blue Jays because I'm tired of the Dodgers. You can root for whoever you want. It's a free country, unlike Canada.
But what? You're rooting for a division rival? That doesn't bother you?
I hate the Blue Jays. Don't get me wrong. I hate the Blue Jays. I think that because of the Blue Jays' existence, I single-handedly hate everything about Canada and will disavow everything about Canada. Okay. But I am not rooting for a team with Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Teoscar Hernandez. I'm not rooting for the freaking Dodgers to win back-to-back World Series.
Blue Jays fans are already annoying enough. They're going to be insufferable if they win a World Series, man.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Like, Dodgers fans, everyone hates them. Everyone knows how great they are. They have the greatest player of all time. Like, they have, or the best.
They have a lineup full of MVP winners. Like
best player of all time. Like, I think Shohei Ohtani great. I would not go best player of all time right now.
Talent-wise? You don't think he's the greatest player that's ever played baseball?
Kim, are you an idiot?
Wait, what? This is like without a doubt. Like this is not a debate.
Well,
Shohei is 100%.
You're saying he's the most talented baseball player of all time, which is different than like the best baseball player of all time.
Well, no, it's not.
Maybe not. No, it's the same as the best. He might not be the greatest because greatest, I think, is purely achievements, which he'll probably be at that. But I think best is like skill wise. There's never been anyone as good as Shohei. You're just doing this to go against the grain, dude.
I'm actually not.
If this is rage bait, it's working.
No, I think Shohei Ohtani
started talking about the World Series like an hour ago. We should have talked about Albernaz for 10 minutes and then gotten onto this take because this is the good stuff right here.
I think Shohei Ohtani is probably the most talented baseball player to ever exist. By pure talent, probably, if he's not juicing or anything, which he isn't. I mean, I think if we're talking about depth, I think what Babe Ruth did is more impressive.
Get out.
You think Shohei Ohtani is better all time than Babe Ruth?
Right now.
Yes. Without a doubt in my mind.
Yes.
No.
Like from a wait, but how is best and
Babe Ruth was facing plumbers and electricians.
Give a shit who he was facing again.
Okay, wait. Real question though. So you're saying, what's the difference between the most talented and the best?
I mean, the talented just in the sense of like you have talent, God-given talent, what you are capable of.
Well, then maybe Grady Sizemore is the most talented player in baseball.
Shohei Ohtani is capable of things that I believe no other player in baseball history outside of maybe Babe Ruth is capable of. Actually, I'm going to say I'm not going to include Babe Ruth. I'm not going to include Babe Ruth.
Okay.
Just Shohei Ohtani.
Oh my God.
Deals a lot more base than. So I think in terms of what Ohtani can do, he is the most talented. But I think the best, I think I think Greg Oden in the NBA is one of the most raw talent, skill, all of that. I think Greg Oden, without the injury, could have been one of the best players all time just based on raw talent. I think Shohei Ohtani, if he does what he's been doing for another 10 to 15 years, yet I think he'll go down as the greatest baseball player of all time.
Isn't he about to, he's going to win his 4th MVP, which literally only Barry Bonds has done.
He's the only one who's gone 50-50. He just recently threw 6 shutout innings with 10 Ks and homered 3 times in the
3
playoffs.
home runs.
What are you talking about?
Cam, he's the best. He's the best of all time. You're not going to tell me otherwise.
So who is on your Mount Rushmore of baseball
Blue
players?
Jays just got another run.
Well, that's different though, because that in my eyes is greatness, right? Like accolades. Then
Okay.
I think that's a different sort. But best, I think of best and talent as the same thing, right? Like,
I think
best is like the best baseball player you can build, right? That's Shohei Ohtani.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Greatest, I think, I mean, like, I would take Shohei over any baseball player of all time. But I do think, I think if you want to say greatest is like purely World Series rings, MVPs, Silver
Which I don't
Sluggers,
think
whatever.
I don't think it is. I think based on like what they actually accomplished individually, I don't really care about World Series ring. Because as we know,
Okay, well,
Mike Trout is an all-time great, not one of the greatest, but an all-time great, and it's never won a playoff game.
well, so Shohei then I think is also, if we're not even talking about, like, Shohei's going to win his 4th MVP this year.
Yeah, Shohei, an unbelievable talent. Maybe one of the. I think he's the most talented baseball player to ever play Major League Baseball. That I'm not disagreeing with that. But I think if we're just talking about accolades, what they did individually over the course of their career, my Mount Rushmore is Barry Bonds. I think I included Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, Walter Johnson.
Okay.
And the reason I included Walter Johnson is because in basically every pitching stat imaginable, he's the best. And I know the argument you all are going to give. I know Michael's thinking of it right now. Walter Johnson played in the early 1900s. The competition was terrible. Everyone in that era played in the early 1900s, and only Walter Johnson could do what Walter Johnson did.
That's fair. That's fair.
So I think 169 career WAR, which is I think second all time of anyone ever. I think, yeah. I mean, I get different era. The question for me is not if you translated Walter Johnson or Cy Young or Honus Wagner or Babe Ruth or any of those guys into this current era, none of them would be competitive. Probably. I don't know that, but probably not. But that's not the question. The question for me, when you talk about greatness, in how do they do relative to their, because the guy born in 1880 will not have the opportunity to pitch against a guy born in 1980. And I think if you give
Wait, what did I say that then you disagreed with? Didn't I say the best player of all time and you were like, whoa?
I didn't say whoa, I was thinking about it.
I think we're gonna have to replay that because I'm pretty sure you immediately were like, what are you talking about?
You might have to check the tapes on that, yeah.
We're gonna have to check the tapes on this.
I just feel like a guy who debuted in 2018 and 7-year big league career at this point, believable talent. But no, I think a guy who's only played for 7 years at this point, you need to, if he got injured in this game tonight and never played baseball again, he'd be a Hall of Famer. They would make an exception for him for the 10-year rule, make him a Hall of Famer, obviously. But he wouldn't go down like he'd be, one of those what-if cases, like a Thurman Munson or a Luke Kuechly. Thurman Munson died in a plane crash.
Bro just casually throws Luke Kuechly in there. Like what?
Well, Luke Kuechly is awesome.
Luke Kuechly, I think if Luke Kuechly did not have
I know, he's a BC guy, but like, really?
But it is, there are levels.
Going to Boston College is very much a detraction on his legacy. That is unfortunate.
But like comparing like Shohei to like, or like even mentioning Shohei and Luke Kuechly in the same sentence I'm not sure. Like I know you're saying if he gets hurt, but like
it is a little crazy.
I think Shohei is so clearly like the most talented. Like I think the gap between Shohei and any other player in the majors is bigger than any other gap in any other professional sport.
Wait, are you saying the best right now or the best all time?
Well, I was saying all time, but I also mean right now.
Yeah, I mean he's the best right now. That I'm not arguing at all.
But no, all time too. Most talented player all time.
No, I think Shohei Ohtani's the best player. I think if you're tiering the best players in baseball, just overall talent-wise, all that, Shohei Ohtani is way at the top. I think Aaron Judge is a few rungs down, and then there's everyone else.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like I think Aaron Judge is insanely talented. I think like Kyle Kyle Schwarber's not consistent enough to be on that list. Cal Raleigh need to do it for a few more years. Even like Mookie Betts, I don't think he's kind of fallen off a little bit. Like he's still great, obviously, but he's not been like
He's also one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball right now. So.
Yeah, Mookie's fine. I mean,
Mookie's great. I'm not arguing that Mookie isn't great. He's about to win in third career World Series.
Yeah,
I'm not fourth.
Could he won
2 with the Dodgers already.
and 2 with the Red Sox?
No, just
one with the Red Sox.
Oh, he's about
1, 2,
to win
3.
it for. Yeah, I'm a stupid idiot with a dumb face and a big moron head. But
no disagreement here.
Vitor,
I haven't heard what Vitor thinks about.
Yeah.
About
What do you think about all that, Vitor?
Yeah, so about the GOAT debate, the GOAT debate was, I think is I don't know, man, because Otani is unique. He's a unicorn. I remember to see the 50-50 game in Miami, and man, he was special, man. I understand Cam's point of view because he wants to see to the end of his career to put an stamp in GOAT's debate. I guess when we say and done, Otani will be the greatest baseball player in the greatest of all time. Period. And right now he's the best player. Period. It's Otani, Judge. Sadly, I want to put Trout in there, but Trout has some injuries, and in his prime he was unique. I think Mookie Betts was a player that I like it because he was complete, a 5-2 player. He played in the outfield, he played in the infield, shortstop, second baseman, center fielder, right fielder, and he when you put he will play a lot. And right now I agree with Justin. But we have a disagreement. Finally.
I am on mute. We've had a lot of disagreements this episode, which I think
It's probably
again,
been the most
heated. And Brian wasn't even here. Could you imagine if Brian was here? How heated this would get?
Man, if Brian hear this episode, we have 3 hours. I guess.
Take
I mean,
this off
then
the air.
there'd be so many competing factions. Cause like me and Justin came to an agreement that we like new school manager. Brian would shoot that down immediately. So we'd have to like. I mean, there'd just be so many different directions that we'd have to disagree.
He might call you a shill for Mike Elias.
I wonder what, or if Brian would say Shohei or not. Do you guys think he would say Shohei's the best, or do you think he would go with?
Well,
I think he would put Shohei in the best. He hated Barry Bonds because
Yeah.
PG.
Yeah, you're right.
I think it would come down to Shohei or Babe Ruth.
Maybe. Or Willie Mays. Willie Mays was great too.
Maybe Willie Mays. Yeah.
I was gonna say Willie Mays. I think would be on my Mount Rushmore if I had to.
Ken Griffey had such
tough.
effect in the 90s.
For me, it's very tough
Willie
between
Mays
Willie
on
Mays
there.
and Hank. I think Willie Mays was a lot better defensively than Hank Aaron, right?
Willie Mays
I
is
have
the
no
first
idea.
5-2 player in the history. He is a complete player.
Yeah. I think if your argument against my Mount Rushmore that Willie Mays should be on above Hank Aaron, I would not argue with that.
No,
I said Babe Ruth.
Baseball, I think, is as hard of a Mount Rushmore as maybe any other sport to create because it's like there's like such differences in era, and then also like do you factor in everyday players more than pitchers, or like how far back are you willing to accept the accomplishments of these players and stuff like that, right? Like Jackie Robinson, where would you put Jackie Robinson on, or is he too old of a player to put on there?
I mean, he's more recent than 2 of the guys I put on my list, so.
I guess that's true, yeah.
That he
But
is,
also
yeah.
for different reasons, like because I don't know if you can put Jackie Robinson on there purely from a like production standpoint. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, if we're talking talent, I mean, Jackie Robinson got to be one of the most talented baseball players of all time. He was like a 5-sport athlete in college, and baseball was his work sport.
Yeah.
And he ended up being I mean, if Jackie Robinson, for obvious reasons, like, would probably always going to be a Hall of Famer no matter what, but like he was a Hall of Famer based on his play too.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, and he was like also like an elite track athlete in college, and he played other sports. I don't know what, like basketball, I think.
I think he played football and basketball too.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're talking about like greatest athlete in the history of baseball, I think Jackie Robinson had an argument.
See, that's what I mean. You could go so many different directions. So I don't think that your Mount Rushmore is like. I think you could easily make an argument for all of those.
I mean, I think if we're talking pure talent, I mean,
you're about to say some BS. I can see it on your face.
Here we go.
Vavra or something.
You rate me way too well, but like if we're talking like just based on pure athletic ability and all that, I think there's an argument to be had that like Craig Gentry surpassed Babe Ruth in that category.
Sure.
Or even David Lowe. I mean, like Babe Ruth was like fat, had a beer belly and all that. David Lowe was like 0% body fat. I mean,
what about Sardinius? What about Sardinius then?
I don't know enough about Luis Sardinius to be honest.
Babe Ruth would be modern day Daniel Vogelbach. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I act the Twitter account. Let's see if there's any. I got 2 votes. Is Shohei Ohtani the best baseball player of all time? Not greatest. 2 votes. Both of them said yes right now. And then I asked
what's one of those votes, Brian?
I wrote most random Oriole of the list. And I did Craig Gentry, Corbin Joseph, Luis Sardinius, and Jimmy Yacobonin. We don't have any votes yet. But I think of the 4, I'm going to give it to Vitor. I think Luis Sardinius is the most random of those 4.
Probably, yeah.
And we have the video to back it up, so I think that's got to be it.
We do.
Yeah, I need to find that video of Aaron Judge hitting a pitch missile off Jimmy Yacobonin just to make me feel. Because I'm pretty sure I was watching that game live when it happened. I just said, yep, that's about right.
Find a Craig Gentry home run video while you're at it.
The only thing I remember about Craig Gentry is that dude hustled. Like, he was always running his ass off, which I respect.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure, like, if Brian was on here, he'd say something like he'd rather have a Craig Gentry on a team than a Manny Machado or something like that.
Here we go.
Craig is going to have our guys all moving like they're Craig Gentry. Albernaz, he's going to have our guys motivated out there. I know it now.
Samuel Battaglio didn't hustle to first base. He cut.
He's going to work on his stolen bases this offseason, man. All right?
Who did I...
Is going to come back different.
Isn't Josh Naylor, like, ridiculously good at stolen base?
He had 30, and he has the slowest sprint speed in the majors.
How?
He just is.
How is he slower than Alejandro Kirk?
I don't think it's the slowest, but
I thought he was the slowest. I'm going to look it up.
I think it was Alejandro Kirk is the slowest. I think that was like the whole thing when he like scored from second.
And that would make sense. Okay, well
that was hilarious.
First percentile.
Well, I mean, Bo Bichette got picked off of first tonight in like one of the stupidest ways imaginable.
Alejandro Kirk also got thrown out at first base on a single to right field. Like, let's not.
I mean, what's it say? Sean Casey got thrown out on a single to left field. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
One of my teammates in Little League also got thrown out on a single to left field at first base.
Yeah, but that's Little League. I mean,
it was still pretty hilarious.
Is bottom 3rd percentile, so he's not the slowest.
But he's incredibly. And did you say 30 stolen bases? Is that true?
Yeah, he stole 30. Yeah. I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, he stole 30. And I think he was only caught a couple of times.
So does he just like?
I think you're right.
Had he like mastered the ability to get like insane reads that somehow no one else in baseball knows how to?
Yes.
Give Jackson Holiday that ability. He's done the exact opposite.
Even Freddie Freeman have a double digit of stolen bases this year.
And how many?
I think he had 10, I guess.
Probably more. Jackson Holiday was like
Josh Naylor,
probably 2 for 30.
He was caught twice.
Josh Naylor this year
got caught stealing 2 times.
I know. Sorry, Fred Freeman had 23 stolen bases in 2023. This year he had only 6.
Freddie's another one of those guys. He's a sneaky good base. He's a good base runner. He steals bases and he's not really known for it, but
he have 104 stolen bases in his career, and he's not a speedster.
Josh Naylor had 19 of his 30 stolen bases with the Mariners. That's in 54 games. He had 11 in 93 with the D-back.
I mean, maybe Josh Naylor, like one of the most talented baseball players of all time.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
I mean, if you can, like, I remember when I was in high school, I was pretty fast, but I got picked off of first base like every time I got to first, pretty much. It's a hard art. It is much more difficult than it looked to, like, read pitchers. No, I got picked off a lot. Yeah. I mean, they're
How much of that is you making excuses for your bad baseball ability? How much of that is actually genuine?
I mean, I would not a great baseball player. I am more than willing to admit that. I love the sport. I still love the sport, but I was not good at it. You know, there's very much a reason why my varsity high school baseball team in like 3 years that I was in high school, my freshman, sophomore, and junior year won combined 3 games, one for each season. So, I mean, I would not have been on the team in any other situation, but I somehow within high school when our team was absolutely dog shit, so that's how I made the team. But
Same.
like they're actually they've been solid since I graduated. Like they produced a few college guys, a few D1 guys even.
There goes Justin.
Yep, that's probably our sign that we've been talking for too long. Yeah, no,
Maybe.
it's been a pleasure. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I honestly I thought this would be a shorter episode because we were just talking about one thing and Justin's back.
Yeah, but then you brought up your Shohei
Sorry.
Ohtani take, and
But
then we just had
I
to
didn't
keep
even
going.
bring it up.
Yes, you
had
did.
a reaction to when you had a reaction when I said that. That's where this all came from, and we're also rambling so much.
That I
It's all
was
Cam's
trying to. Okay, look. Okay, so what are three key take? Like my sociology class, we have three key takeaways from each class.
Oh,
Each
Jesus.
class, I'm gonna do three key takeaways for this episode. I'll give you my three. One, I think
Here
Craig
we go.
Abernathy, not a bad hire. Even though y'all think I think it's a bad hire, I think it's fine. Not a home run hire, which is fine. So that's takeaway number one. Takeaway number two, we're probably going to be a more pitching heavy team next year, which I'm excited about. And then takeaway number three, Shohei Ohtani, great baseball player. Insanely talented at baseball. Maybe the fifth most talented player in Dodger to LA/Brooklyn history. I think you can go. I think Jackie Robinson beat him there. I think Mookie Betts, like what you said, his ability to hit home run plus his ability to play shortstop, outfield, all that. I think Mookie Betts.
And he's such a
Might
great
be above.
bowler, so that makes him better.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Great point.
I think Jackie Robinson, Mookie Betts. I think there's an argument for Fernando Valenzuela. Yeah, and I mean,
I think those are three really.
The reactions just say it all.
I think those are three really good takeaways, and I agree with all of them.
okay, I'm not. I'm kidding about the Shohei Ohtani thing, by the way. I think he probably is one. He is one of the most talented baseball players in history, and I do not disagree on that.
Where's the giant Family Feud X?
For what? What are you acting?
Your Shohei take that sparked another half an hour of discussion.
It wasn't even a take. It was like a mild reaction to something that Justin said.
It was a take.
It was a take. Come on, dude.
You gotta go back and watch because I know I'm not crazy. You clearly
we might have to check the tapes on this one.
Were surprised by me saying that, and it seemed like
I was surprised.
We're the only one.
It'll be conveniently left out of the editing.
The AI done what the AI done.
I'm just. The only reason I had such a reaction is because I think you're a very like new school baseball fan, right? Not saying like a new baseball fan, but like
No, I know you're.
Yeah, and I feel like that's, at least in my eyes, pretty common knowledge that Shohei is like without a doubt better than anyone who's ever played the game before. Like, what he does is just absurd. He was striking out guys at 102 the other night, and then he hit 3 bombs, and 2 of them like left the stadium. And like
he's a starting pitcher
tomorrow night. It wasn't even a strike. It was like a fastball in on the hands, lefty from Quintana, and it was absurd. Like he's just. So that's why I had my reaction, because I thought that would be a take that you would without a doubt be like, oh yeah, 100%. You didn't give me the vibe that you would think that.
Great, then why did the Angels never make the playoffs with him and Trout?
Okay.
Oh, for Christ's sakes. Here we go. Oh my God.
And they're recording. We're
all right. Thank you everyone
for
listening to
a new podcast.
I've been joined by Justin and Mike, who I very much enjoy having on the podcast. I think we're definitely getting to the point where we're more animated than we were to start. So I think that's a good thing. Vitor was there to, I think Vitor agreed.
Unfortunately, caught the growth
voice of reason. He was the voice
All
of
right.
reason in all
Yes.
this. While me and Mike are just trying to kill Cam.
All right.
Vitor's just like,
Thank you all for listening.
"Fuck."
We will see you next time on Content
No, it can be
Disagreement.
because